Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this video, my sports Gematria. We're going to look at UFC Fight Night 170 that took place yesterday. I made all five picks for the fight card, the main card. And honestly, if it wasn't for the coronavirus and NBA and college basketball and XFL all being shut down, I would have never looked at this fight card. I never would have looked at Fight Night 170. And in fact, the next UFC fight event that I was going to look at would be UFC 249, which isn't for a couple of weeks. But because, all sports are no longer in existence right now except for UFC, I went ahead and did UFC Fight Night 170. And these were my results. I went and picked John McDessie. He was an underdog and he lost the first fight of the night. He lost. Then I picked Nikita Krylov. He was the biggest underdog on the main fight card that won, which was cool. Renato Marciano. He was the biggest favorite on the card that won. Gilbert Burns, decent favorite that won. And then Charles Oliveira, which was a slight underdog for the upset in the main fight, the main event. So let's look through these really quick. Got my daily numbers on one side. I got my game numbers on the other side. This is my date numerology for the Gregorian. And then both sides of the Hebrew. And then right here, my game numbers for the fights. The way this is structured, this is Kevin Lee right here. His name, Gematria, his birth date, his fight record. And then down here is Charles Oliveira, his name, Gematria, his birthday, his fight record. Right here is what the bout is. It's a lightweight fight. Location, Brasilia, Brazil. The stadium that it's in. And then some extra stuff like UFC Fight Night 170, 170, the Gematria for that number. Lee versus Oliveira, Gematria for that. So the reason why I like Charles Oliveira is the same reason why I also liked another fight, the first fight, which lost. Kevin Lee, he came into this fight. This was his 24th fight, and with the loss, he became 18-6 for a fight record. This fight was taking place on the Hebrew civil calendar, the 18th day of the sixth month, the 167th day of the year. Kevin Lee's 24th fight, he becomes 18-6. The significance for the 24 is that 24 sums to 167. So on the 18th day of the sixth month, which is also the 167th day of the year for the Hebrew civil, in Kevin Lee's 24th fight, where 24 equals 167, he becomes 18-6 for a fight record with the loss on the 18th day of the sixth month. Charles Oliveira, it was 49 days since his 30th birthday, and he picked up his 29th win. And the reason why those are dark blue, 29, the word 29 sums to 149, so 149 days since his 30th birthday, he gets his 29th win. On the Gregorian, there was 37 date numerology, and his name, Charles Oliveira, equals 157, which is the 37th prime number. He was fighting his 37th fight for his career, and again, it was 149 days since his 30th birthday. And the word 30 sums to 37. So that's why I liked Charles Oliveira to upset in the main event. So let's go down. So same thing with the Gilbert Burns fight. Location, Gematria. It was a welterweight fight. This is Damian's Gematria, his birthday, his fight record. Then Gilbert Burns, Gematria, birthday, his fight record. This fight was a little trickier. I had to really kind of dig a little bit to understand what was going to happen, and I think I came to the conclusion, well, I did come to the right conclusion. Gilbert Burns won, but I think I did the right train of thought. What I noticed at first was that it was a 237 days, or total span of 238 days, till Damien's upcoming birthday. At the same time, it's been 238 days since Gilbert Burns' 33rd birthday. 238, 238. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, let's pop it in 238. I see, we get some numbers here. This one popped out at me, 281. So 238 equals 281. And mathematics tells us that 281 is the 60th prime number. So this is what I was thinking. So I was thinking, okay, Damien, a total span of 238 days till his birthday, and it's 238 days since Gilbert Burns' birthday, and 238 in Gematria sums to 281, the 60th prime number. I think Damien may stay on 28 wins and get his 10th loss, which kind of looks like a 281, right? 281, 238, 281. It becomes 28 and 10, which has that 281. Now, 281, like I mentioned and showed you, is the 60th prime number. Well, if we pop in the word 60, we get the number 38. And this was his 38th fight where he became 28 and 10, which has that 281 in there. 281, the 60th prime. 60 sums to 38. It's his 38th fight. Total span of 238 days till his birthday. 238 days since Gilbert Burns' birthday. 238 equals 281, the 60th prime. What's even more fascinating is that the word 33 equals 60. And again, it was 238 days since Gilbert Burns' 33rd birthday. So 238 sums to 28-1, the 60th prime. 33 sums to 60. Damien becomes 28-10, has that 281 in there in his 38th fight. 60 sums to 38. So Gilbert Burns becomes 18 and 3 with the win with his fight record. And of course, 183, we get 238. So 238 days since Gilbert Burns' 33rd birthday. He becomes 18 and 3 for a fight record. 183 sums to 238. It's a total span of 238 days till Damien's birthday. And we know that 238 sums to 28-1, or 281. And Damien becomes 28-10, like 281, the 60th prime. 33 sums to 60. 60 sums to 38. And that's why I picked Gilbert Burns. It's a little bit more complicated. You have to kind of dig for it a little bit more. But I was able to pick it up. Also, where this fight was being taken place, Brasilia, Brazil, equals 239. And it was 238, or a total span of 239 days since his 33rd birthday, Gilbert Burns' birthday. So that one's a little bit more difficult. You know, fights like these, or numbers like these, it's good to have a bunch of experience so you can kind of pick up and figure out harder reads. So I was glad I was able to catch that. Renato Moicano, I would have to say this was the easiest fight on the card, but he was also the biggest favorite on the card as well. And what made this fight so easy was that his name, Renato Moicano, in Gematria summed to 143. This was his 18th fight, and 18 sums to 143. This fight was also taking place on March 14th, written 3/14, or if you say the 14th day of March, 14/3, like 143. With the win, Renato became 14 and 3 for a fight record. He does have one draw, so technically he's 14-3-1. But if we take out that draw part, we do see the 143. His name 143. It's his 18th fight, which sums to 143. He becomes 14-3. So think about it. That one draw that he had, if he didn't have that draw, it would actually be his 17th fight. So maybe that one draw was to set up the 18 for the 143. But you know what's interesting though is that 14-3-1. If you use the full number, excuse me, that's actually a triangular number. So we go 14-3-1. 14-3-1 is the 53rd triangular number. This is UFC Fight Night 170. The words 170 sums to 241, and 241 is the 53rd prime number. So UFC Fight Night 170, 170 equals 241, the 53rd prime. Renato becomes 14-3-1 for a fight record, and UFC Fight Night 170 and 14-3-1 just happens to be the 53rd triangular number. 170 equals 218 as well. And his opponent, Damir Hadzovic, sums to 218. He becomes 13-6 with a loss for a fight record, like 136. 136 is the 16th triangular number. And since we already talked about the number 53, 53 is the 16th prime number. So that's why I have it dark blue. That's why I have the 218 dark blue. Has that one dark blue for the 14-3-1, and then 170, 218, 241, the 53rd prime, 53, the 16th prime. Another thing that I marked was Renato's birthday, 5/21. He was born on 5/21. And I know just by doing this so much that 5/21 is the 98th prime number. And if we pop in 98 into Gematria, we get the numbers 136, which is exactly what his opponent fell to, 13-6. So as we move on, now we got the biggest upset of the night, which was Nikita Krylov over Johnny Walker. This was the biggest upset on the money line for the main event. And the reason why I picked Nikita, well, this fight was taking place in Gimnasio Nilsen Nelson. The English version of that would be Nilsen Nelson Gymnasium. But the way they had it on ESPN, Gimnasio Nilsen Nelson, sums to 277 in Gematria. And with the win, Nikita Krylov became 27-7 for a fight record in Gimnasio Nilsen Nelson. So I thought that was interesting. Also, his name, Nikita Krylov, sums to 167. And we already went over this with the main event. It's the 167th day on the Hebrew civil calendar. On top of that, his name, Nikita Krylov, equals 59. And mathematics tells us that the number 277 is the 59th prime number. So in Gimnasio Nilsen Nelson, 277, the 59th prime number, we get Nikita Krylov, who equals 59, 277, the 59th prime number. He becomes 27-7 for a fight record with the win on the 167th day of the Hebrew civil year, where his name also sums to 167. It was 7 days since his 28th birthday, and 59 is the 17th prime number, and 17 is the 7th prime number. 7 days since his 28th birthday, he becomes 27-7. 27-7, the 59th prime, 59, the 17th prime, 17, the 7th prime number. It was a total span of 17 days till Johnny Walker's 28th birthday, and he stays on 17 wins. So we see the 17, the 17, 17 the 7th prime, 27-7, the 59th prime, 59 the 17th prime. Now where the 28s come in, and I marked the 28s, why I emphasize it so much, 7 days since his 28th birthday, total span of 17 days till his 28th birthday. The reason why I emphasize it is because I know 28 is the 7th triangular number. So we have a huge pattern there. 277, 277, the 59th prime number, Nikita Krylov equals 59, 59 the 17th prime. Johnny Walker stays on 17, a total span of 17 days till his 28th birthday. It's 7 days since Nikita's 28th birthday, and 28 is the 7th triangular number. Now, this is the fight I lost, Francisco Trinaldo. I picked John Makdessi for the same exact reason why I picked Kevin Lee to lose. I thought it was gonna be the biggest Hebrew UFC fight ever, because with the win, John Makdessi could have become 18-6 in his 24th fight. And of course, we've already went over that it's the 18th day of the 6th month on the Hebrew Civil, the 167th day of the year, and 24 sums to 167. So in his 24th fight, he could have become 18-6, but he didn't. And I was kind of shocked by that, because at the same time, Francisco Trinaldo, he was born on 8/24, and with the loss, he would have become 24-8. So there's numbers there for it. And in my mind, my thought was, I personally, I'm going to go with the 24 and the 18-6 all day long, every single time. Like, there will not be a time when I decode a game and I see something like this, 18-6, 167 day, 24th fight, which sums to 167, becomes 18-6. I'm not going to pick against that. I'll pick that every single time. And personally, I'd rather pick both John Makdessi and Charles Oliveira for the same reason and get one of them wrong versus trying to figure out which one's going to be right, which one's going to be wrong, and get both of them wrong, if that makes sense. So I'm okay with this loss. And I think the real reason why Francisco Trinaldo won, hindsight's always 20/20, of course. But because I did so well, and this was my only loss, I'm gonna say it's the 25-7. I think what happened is this main event opened up with the Gregorian and it finished with the Hebrew. And what I mean by that is, on the Gregorian silver, it's the 74th day of the year. 74 equals 170. This being UFC Fight Night 170 on the 74th day of the Gregorian year. 74 sums to 170. But 74 also sums to 55. So on the 74th day of the Gregorian year, we get UFC Fight Night. 74 sums to 170, as well as 55. And in the first fight of the main card to open up UFC 170 on the 74th day of the Gregorian, we get Francisco Trinaldo becoming 25-7 for a fight record with a win. 25-7, 257 is the 55th prime number. And again, 74 day, 74 equals 170 as well as 55. So I'm thinking this is why Francisco won to 25-7, the 55th prime on the 74th day of the Gregorian. 74 equals 170 and 55. So basically, the UFC event opened up with the Gregorian calendar, had a hint towards the Hebrew civil calendar with Nikita and the 167, but ultimately this was game numbers right here. These numbers were strictly in fight only majority. There's no 59 or 17 over here on the daily numbers. And then right here, we get kind of a hint of the Gregorian again with the 143, which is the reflection of 3/14, March 14th. And then we get another one with game numbers and then it ends with the Hebrew civil. So, yeah, so that's the fight card. That's my results. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay safe out there.